Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Michael, and I'm one of the senior product managers from Syncfusion, and I take care of the development of the data visualization stuff like chat, gauges, and everything. Right now, Syncfusion is trying to build some smart components as well. So that will be rolled out in the next volume release. So in hands-on to that, I thought we could get to know about OpenAI and how we could use that because AI is going to be the next thing in the programming and everything, right? So we will follow what how we could actually use OpenAI keys and how we can create a simple chatbot. So as Carter already mentioned, you should have a Syncfusion license key. So I think already my team would have added the link for that. So you can go and Uma, if you could add the license key link here, that would be nice. And if you are already a Syncfusion customer, then you probably have a license key. Then you can use that. If you don't have a license key, you will get a pop-up which shows that you are using a trial version key. If you don't have a license key, then you can get a trial version key, and you can use that as well. So that is one thing. That is the next thing is you should have an OpenAI API key. So for this, you have to go to platform.openai.com and then log in. So after logging in, go to settings, and you have to. So this is just simple things that you will be having here. So you have to provide your credit card so that you can. I'm just having small balance here because that is way enough to do tons of stuff with OpenAI APIs. And once you give your credit card and stuff, you can get your OpenAI key. So you can just generate your key. So to generate user API keys, you can go here and you can, create a new secret API key, and then that API key will be used. Okay. So so to move further, I just want to let you know how we have designed this particular thing. So we have also provided you with a GitHub link in the chat window. So go to that GitHub link and download this document, creating a custom chatbot with OpenAI APIs. So I have this document with me already so that I can, start. But the thing is, I just want to let you know that it is easy for you to just follow the simple steps. And once you follow these simple steps and copy and paste the code as instructed here, you will automatically create everything which I'm going to do now. And the thing is, I'm also going to um, create step by step using this document only. So it will be easy for you to catch up with me so that you can create this application on your own along with me while I'm creating. So if you have any questions or if you find any difficulties in downloading it, it will be you can ask your questions here. The moderators will answer. If not, then I could also answer for that. Okay. So hopefully, I guess you guys have already downloaded this and you got the Syncfusion key and the OpenAI key. Okay. So um, can we start? Uh, is everybody ready? Can we start? So of course, you should also have your Visual Studio, latest .NET 8 and everything, because we are going to run MAUI as well. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of thumbs up and right, yeah. So I think let me start. And if someone is struggling to follow up with me, you can definitely ask me to pass so that the moderator will tell me whether I have to pass or whether I have to go back to the step or anything. If you have any of those questions, you can definitely ask. Okay. So let's dive into the session without any delay. Okay, fine. So here's the document. So open the document and go to the first step. So setting the project in Visual Studio. So I'm just going to open my Visual Studio. Hopefully you can see my screen. So this is my Visual Studio. I have opened it, and then I'm going to create a new project. Click New Project, and then as you could see here, you can search Blazor Server App at the top. So I'm going to search Blazor Server App. I have already done this, so here it is. I'm clicking on Blazor Server App. What I'm going to do is first I'm going to create a Blazor Server App that is a web application. So that web application will be posted into Maui, and that will be generated into Windows Forms and Android and etc. So first let us get into Blazor Server App, and then we will see how we can do that. So I'm just going to click Next, and then I'm going to name the exact words here, because if you have any space, that's fine. But because the namespace, if I'm going to copy paste the code, the namespace and everything should be on the same side. So I'm going to use that. Okay. So chatbot space server space app. Okay. And then let me create this in my D colon, because my C drive is getting full. uh, Workshop. Yeah. So I'm going to choose my folder. You can choose whatever folder you have, and then click next. And I'm going to use .NET 6. That's fine. So I'm just going with the default settings. So there you go. You got the um, simple Blazor server application. So in order to start with that, so let's move on. So we got the server application here. So the next thing is we have to add the Syncfusion dependencies. So let me click on the dependencies and add the manage NuGet packages. So go to browse. I'm just going to copy paste this so that it will not take much time. So we need both the buttons and split buttons. I will let you know why, but first I'm going to install the button. So click apply. Next, I'm going to also install the split buttons. Next, I'm going to use Blazor input. So Blazor input is nothing but the buttons, the text box that which we use. So I'm going to use that. And we are going to use the list view to showcase the chat UI. So I'm going to use the list view to create the chat UI. I will let you know how in a couple of minutes. Yeah. And then I'm going to show some notifications when we, use the API to get the information. So because we have to wait some time to get the connection from the API, and then when we call asynchronously, it will be easy for us to show notifications, so that it will be easy for us to understand what is happening. And then I'm going to use the spinner so that whenever I'm going to ask a question, the GPT might take some time to reply back, so that the waiting spinner will have that. And I have already installed split buttons, and of course our themes, which is very important. So that's it. So I have added everything that is required for Syncfusion. So the dependencies are added here. I'm going to close this. So here we go. Uh, all the dependencies are added. Syncfusion. Fine. So once you have checked this, you can move on to the next step. Fine. So the next step is you have to go to the program.cs file to add the Syncfusion Blazor. So I'm just going to go to the program.cs file. Um, Hope you can follow my instructions here. So just copy this line and add it here. Just add the namespace syncfusion.blazor, and then you have to add this particular code builder.service add Syncfusion Blazor. and then your Syncfusion key. So that can be added anywhere, here. So let me put it here. That's fine. So there you go. But you need your Syncfusion license key. Okay. So let's go to Notepad. I'm having the key there. So yeah, this is my Syncfusion license key. I'm copying that and pasting it here. Hopefully the license key should not be seen. Okay, fine. So that's it. I'm just saving this. So this helps me to create a simple things with all the dependencies for Syncfusion. So now let's go to imports.razor file. Click on this and click this so that it will select the entire um, table. So that you can go to imports.razor and add the necessary dependencies. Okay, fine. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the code in the index.razor page. I will explain whatever I have done after copy and pasting this code. This code is little huge. Don't mind that. I will explain what I have done in a little bit. Okay. So I'm just copy pasting this. So it will be easy for you if you click on this table and then click on this and then Control C because it's a huge code so that you will not, you know, if you're going to drag it and select the entire code, it will take time. So use the shortcut that I told you. So you can go to the index.razor file in the pages. So index.razor and you have to delete this code and you can paste this. Okay. So now let me explain whatever code that I've added here. So the UI will be like, just give me a second. I will show you the UI in the um, document here because we have copied this much code. This is just for the UI. Okay, so this is how we will have a small chat button here. Once we click this button, we will have the chat UI. Okay, so let me show that here. So what I'm doing here is I have created a page, I have given a title, and I have I have added the namespace data, which I'm going to create soon. And then I'm just checking whether the entire, I've just named it as visible. So I'm just checking whether the SF tab control is visible or not. It should not be visible. It should be visible at starting point, and then it should not be visible at the when I click on it. And then I have a container. In the container, I have SF spinner. Spinner is nothing but the things that the spinner is nothing but the waiting pop-up when we ask questions to the chat GPT. And then we have a form. In the form, we have the on send button. Inside the on send button, because whenever we click on the whenever we are going to click the enter button, it will automatically give you the values, right? So for that, you have the on-send method here. And then I have a list view. So inside the list view, I have a template. In the template, what I have used is I have used an avatar. And in one avatar, I have, all these things will be given in the um, CSS file because I'm using all the class here. So in the avatar, I have given my photo and as well as the Syncfusion chatbot photo. So that that is the Cody, our mascot. So that photo, so that you can add that there. And that's it. This is the simple. This is a simple UI. We have a list view. Inside the list view, we have the avatar. So based on the data, as you could see here, the current data dot chat and sender. So based on this sender, it will automatically change whether it is getting data from the chat GPT or it is getting data from me. So based on that, the list view will automatically change the view of each chat. So let me show that while I run this. So and then I have a text box inside the list view. I have a text box. I mean, because in the text box I'm going to ask the question, and I have a button. In that button, if I'm going to click send, it will happen. Okay, and then I have a toast. Toast is nothing but for the notification that I set. So that's it. So it's a simple UI. We have the list view, we have the text box, we have the buttons, and we have a toast. That's it. Okay. And then I have a set of bunch of code here that I will explain a little later. Okay. So this is the UI. Then before going into that, we also have some style. These are some mandatory style for list view, which you have to use because I have added a template. So these are styles that you can actually go through that when you get time. Okay, so now once I copy paste this code, the next stage is we have to go to the host.cshtml file from the pages folder and add this script because we should have this script inside that. So let me add that as well. So I'm just going to add this. Okay, I'm going to save this, done. So after that, now I can run and show you the output. So let me run this. Hopefully everyone can follow as of now, I guess. So if you have any question, just let me know. Okay, so it's running. Just give it a second. Yeah. So I want this session to be interactive so that I can also learn that you are also following this along with me. So is there anyone finding it difficult to, so are you all able to follow? Just give me S in the chat so that it will be easy for me to understand whether I'm going too fast or too slow or okay. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Rami. Yeah, good. Fine. Okay, I don't want to waste much time here. So, okay, fine. Go. So, as you could see, we got the UI, but the default Blazor UI is also available here. So, this is my SF Fab control. So, this is a when I click on this, the chatbot will the chat will appear here. So, as you could see, we have a text box, we have a button here, but still I have to add images and stuff to run about this. So but first let us delete the unwanted UI here. So let's do that. So in order to do that, so as I said in this document, you could see we have this unwanted UI. So to remove that, go to main layout from shared folder, and I think you can delete the sidebar, which is not needed, and this is also not needed. Just the body is enough. So as you could see here, you can delete the sidebar and you can delete this particular line. So which I have did. So let me run this once again. So now you can see that only our chat application will be seen here. So there you go. Clicking on this, you will get our UI. Okay, fine. So now let's add the images to the UI. So it will be easy for you to understand these things. Okay. So in order to do that, click on the www root folder and add existing items. So add the PNG files that are provided. So Cody, Mike, and send. Okay. So these are the PNG files that you have to add. So in order to do that, I have already provided this GitHub link. You can go to the images and you can download these 3 image files. Okay, so it will be easy for you to do that. So let me, I already have that. So let me add that to my, so click on the www root, add existing item. So I might have it somewhere here. So this is the Cody, Mike, and send button, add. So that's it. I have added this. So after adding it, you can see based on the template. So here you go. I'm just see, as you can see, the send button is here. I'm going to just say hi. I have not connected ChatGPT so far. So here you go. You can see my photo here and you can see the a chatbot reply photo here. Okay, fine. So this is working well. Fine, good. So now let's move on to the next step. So the next step is we have to create a chatbot engine. So I think here I will take some time to explain what we are currently doing, and if you are new to ChatGPT and if you're already familiar with OpenAI, then that's fine. But if you're new to OpenAI and if you're not familiar with the terms, then I will take it slow in this particular session, and then I will make it up in the end. Okay. So we are going to create a new class file called chatgptengine.cs inside the data folder. So go to the data folder and create a new class. So add a class file. So I have already, so the same name. Please keep the same name. It will be easy for you to copy paste the code. That's why I have provided everything here in the document itself. So chatgptengine.cs. So once you have created that class file, copy paste these namespaces. So I'm adding this. And then now the next step is I'm going to declare some variables. So initially, I'm going to use ChatGPT model 3.5 Turbo, which is a legacy model as per OpenAI. Sorry, not here. Forgive me. Inside the class. So initially, I'm going to use ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo Instruct, which is a legacy according to API, according to OpenAI. Right now, they are using 4.0 and 4.4 and 4.0. So, but let me give you a glimpse of this, and then we can move on to the further things as well. So now here you have to have your use your OpenAI key. So OpenAI key is here, I guess. So let me add this. Yeah, okay. So my OpenAI key is here. Fine. So let me explain what are the things that I have used. I'm going to send HTTP client request to the OpenAI using the OpenAI key, and I'm going to use the endpoint. So the endpoint here is api.openai.com v1 chat completions, and another endpoint. I'm using two endpoints here. Let me explain why that is. This is the simple thing like API openai.com v1 completions. Okay, so let me explain when we what kind of endpoint I have to use and when we have to use that. Okay, so let us get into it. So after adding the OpenAI key, create a class. So in the class, I'm initializing the HTTP client. That's it. I'm just initializing it, and then I'm going to create a method which process the user input. I'm going to, this is nothing but if I'm going to ask a question, that question will be considered as a prompt. So I will explain the code here. It will be better here. There you go. So here it is. So I'm creating a method. This is an asynchronous method, and this is a task, and I'm passing it as a string. So inside this method, I'm having a variable called string prompt. So this is nothing but the question that we ask the GPT. Okay. So in order to do that, we should have an authentication header value. So let me give you a little bit of, so before getting into this, I just want to show you the docs first. The important thing is you have to understand how this works because OpenAI actually currently they are providing support for Curl, Node.js, and as well as Python. So in order to do that, for example, if you're going to use Python, then you have to import. You have to install the OpenAI in your machine, and then you have to import and everything. But I think the curl will give you a better understanding. So see, it is using the chat completions endpoint, and it is showing the content type as application.json, and the authorization is given as bearer OpenAI key. Okay, and they are using the model and they are sending the message. This is how they will interact with the OpenAI. So this is a simple example. Okay, so that's what we are also going to do. So here you can see I have the authentication header value bearer OpenAI key. So I have already added the OpenAI key here, and that will be added here. And then I'm going to pass a HTTP client request so that I have to create a default authorization. So I'm passing the authorization here. And then I'm going to create an OpenAI prompt. In that prompt, I have to specify the model. So that is the OpenAI model. So here I have used the OpenAI model as GPT 3.5 Turbo Instruct. So I'm using that OpenAI model. And then the prompt. The prompt is nothing but the question that we are going to ask the API. And then we have temperature. So temperature is nothing but, let's say, for example, if the temperature is 1, it will be more accurate, and it will, I mean, the answers from the GPT will be more precise. And if it is 0, chat GPT will hallucinate and provide invalid answers. The thing is, if you are going to provide 0.5, then it will help the chat GPT to be creative rather than being so concise or so precise. It will be a little bit creative and stuff. So you have to provide temperature as 0.5 and the maximum tokens. So one token is equal to 4.5 characters. One token is equal to 4.5 characters. So I'm just providing 1,500 tokens, which is huge, but that's fine, I guess. And then you have the top. This should be always 1, and then you have frequency penalty, like if you are asking the frequent questions again and again, because these things are like, let's say for example, you have created a chatbot, but the users are misusing it and asking so many frequent questions or anything like that, then we could restrict the chat gpt with these things. So that is why these are the default things that we can set here. So that's one thing. That's it. And then the next thing is, I'm just going to um, serialize the OpenAI prompt using the UTF-8, so that it will be in JSON format. And once I get the reply from the HTTP client, that will be stored in the response. And then and then once again, what I have to do is, the response will be in JSON format. So I have to once again deserialize that. And then while deserializing, I have to get the property called choices from that. And then I have to store the result. And once again, that property will be converted into string and it will be printed. Okay. So this is a simple thing. Hopefully, while I'm running this, you will clearly understand. Okay, so fine. So now go to the index.tracer file and add on initialize async method to set the visible property of the spinner. So I'm just going to copy paste this. I'm going to go to the index.tracer file. So I'm going to add this line here. So what I've done is I'm just creating a variable called GPT engine from the chat GPT engine that we have created for that class. And I added the on initialized async method to set the visible property to true. This will make the spinner to true, so that the spinner will spin until you get the answer. Okay. I will set the visible property to false later here. Okay. So that's one thing. Let me show. Okay. Fine. Now in the same page, inside the event click method, please paste this particular code. So this event click is nothing but when I'm clicking the chat icon. Okay, fine. So now let me explain what we have here. So in the event click method, I'm setting the fab control to false. The visible will be false, and then setting the container visibility to visible so that the entire UI, entire chat UI will be visible. And then here I am getting a reply from the ChatGPT engine using the process user input. So what I'm going to give the what I'm going to tell the AI is that you are an AI chatbot and you are here to answer my question. This is very simple, right? So it will definitely give an answer for that. So I'm just giving some 3.5 seconds delay here so that sometimes it might take some time. So I'm just giving 3.5 seconds delay here. During this delay, the spinner will spin, and then I'm setting the visibility property to false so that the visibility property of the spinner will go false, and we will get the other. So here I'm going to add the data source. The data source is nothing but the here we have set the SF list view, right? In the list view, we have the template, right? In the template, we have the current data. This is basically, we have set the data source here. Let me show that. So as you could see here, we have set the list data model, and that data source will be set here. So based on that only, it will choose which avatar to be present, like either my photo or the chatbot photo. Okay. So in order to do that, I have to add the data source here. So inside the data source, I'm going to add a new list. I'm telling that is AI bot and the contact as reply, because sender and the reply, so the sender should be on the left and the reply should be on the right, right? So I'm going to give the contact as reply, and then ID. I'm sorry, extremely sorry. The contact is nothing but the value. So the value that we are getting from the is posted here. So the ID is one, the avatar I have set, the picture is pic 01, and the chat is sender. Okay, fine. So the chat is sender. Now let's run this and see how it goes. Okay, so let's run this. Anybody have any questions so far? Yeah, okay. So there you go. So while clicking on this, you will get a spinner that is spinning because we have sent the request, and then we got an answer. Yes, I am an AI chatbot designed to answer questions and assist with tasks. How may I help you? So let me once again, let me run this by keeping the breakpoint so that it will be easy for us to understand what's happening. Um, just bear with me for a second, because for some people it will be so basic, for some it will be interesting. So I will just go fast after some time, but right now let's take it slow. Okay. So let's run this again. So clicking on this, we'll call this method. So we have our OpenAI key. So we have the prompt, we have set the model, we are serializing it, and we are sending it, and we are waiting for the response, and we got the response. So if you see the response, you could see here that the so there you go. You can see there are so many things in the response, right? So here we got the content. This must be serialized. So let me serialize and show you that. So I'm getting the choices property. So the choices, as you could see here, US. So as you could see, this is the choices, and inside the text we have, yes, I am an AI chatbot designed to answer your questions. How can I help you? So as you could see here, we have a property called text, and it is in JSON format, and we have index 0 and everything. So in order to get that particular text from the choices, I'm using the regex method and getting that particular value using the get property text, so that that value will be assigned to the result. So we will be getting that result, and that result is getting into the reply. So now you can see in the reply you have, yes, I'm a chatbot designed to answer questions and assist with tasks. Okay, so that's it. So the spinner is going to spin for 3.5 seconds, and then It will be set to false, and I'm adding this to the data source. Based on the data source, the output will be set. There you go. You can see the answer, right? Fine. Now, if I'm going to ask a question, will that answer me any question? Because I didn't do that. Let's see. Of course, it's not going to answer because we didn't do anything for that, right? So let's do that now. So to do that, um, I'm going to add this particular line inside the onSend method. So inside the onSend method, I'm just going to, it is already there. I'm just going to uncomment it. So I think that's what I mentioned here, right? Uncomment, yeah. So I just uncomment the line that, so as you can see, it shows get result. We didn't add this method at all. So to implement that method, just click on this, copy paste this, and add this method here after the onSend. Yeah. So I have added a new async task, which gets the result, and it is nothing but result engine user query. So whenever it is a form, right? Whenever I hit enter, it will process the text value, and that text value will be sent into. So as you could see, the text box value, that text box value will get result, and inside the get result, I'm calling the Chat GPT engine process user input. Okay. So now let's run. So I'm going to ask a simple question. Let me take this out. Okay. So now I'm going to ask, what is my name? It definitely doesn't understand my name, right? So it is going to say, I am an AI. I don't have the ability to know your name. Please introduce yourself to me. Okay. So now let's see. Um, my name is Mike, and you can remember that. Okay. Okay, by remembering that I'm the man. So now it doesn't understand the context of the chat. If I'm going to ask my name again, once again, it is going to tell that I don't know your name. So let me give you a simple example as well. So let's ask, what is the weather in Seattle in May? So it is going to tell me what will be the weather in Seattle in May, right? So in May it will be 60 degree. That's fine, good. Now I want to know how it will be in August. So how about August? Now it doesn't understand the context that I'm asking this particular question. How about August based on Seattle? It is just giving me detail like August is a great month. It is the last month of the summer. So what's happening here is that the AI bot doesn't understand the um, previous query. So that what we have to do is we have to use this different API endpoint. Okay. So how we can do that? Let me go to the ChatGPT engine. So we are already, let me go to the ChatGPT engine. So as you could see here, I'm using the API endpoint, right? This API endpoint is called HTTPS API V1 completions, right? So as you could see, I'm using this particular model, I'm calling this particular API endpoint here. So this API endpoint is called completions. But in order to have context and in order to chat with the chatbot, it has to understand all these things, right? So for that, we have to use a different endpoint. That endpoint is called V1 chat completions. So if you're using API endpoint, it will not understand the context. But if you're using this, it will understand the context. Okay. So let me show you that as well. So far it's good, right? Okay, good, fine. So let's go here. Fine. So I have provided the same example here. So in order to make this, let me contextual, let me create this. I will explain why. I'm creating a new class called message. So I'm adding this class here, and then I'm adding this particular code exactly here. So this particular code is nothing but I'm having a class called message with two properties, nothing but role and content. Okay. Why we need role, why we need content, I will explain in a minute. Uh, and I'm creating that as a list here. Okay. And then I have created a new method called process the given info with context. So now the AI is going to have the context, right? So we have to pass the AI answer and as well as user question. So we have to pass the AI answer which it provided to us earlier. Okay. So in order to do that, what I'm doing here is same. Once again, I have already explained this on the other method. So I'm just giving the authentication header, OpenAI key, and then I'm adding my messages, new messages, role. The role is nothing but system. System is nothing but the chat GPT. And the content is the AI answer. Sometimes this can be to initially start with, we don't have anything, right? So it can be an empty string. And the other message I'm adding is user, and that is the question that I'm going to pass. Okay, if I have any question, that question will be passed here. So that the list will add the messages again and again and again, so that the API, so that the chat GPT will understand the context of the whole conversation. Okay. So once again, I'm using the same thing. So the OpenAI prompt, I'm using ChatGPT 3.5, the default settings that I use, and here also, once again, I'm having the same here. So I'm getting the choices, result, and everything. Okay, fine. Now I have to call this method, process the given info with context. Okay, so what I have to do is, so go to the index.tracer file. Inside the event click, I'm going to add this. So I'm going to add this particular 2 lines of code. Sorry, not the entire code. Or yeah, we can use that. So let me copy paste this. Go to index.tracer, the index.tracer file on the event click. So I'm just going to delete this because I'm going to copy paste the same code again. So as you could see here. So now what happens is that I'm going to give this value, right? This is what we have done at the first point, right? So you are an AI chatbot and you're going to answer. So that reply will be added here. And I'm adding that reply here. I have to add that reply here if I want. So once again, if I, like, or if you don't want, you can just comment out this. I guess that's fine. Fine. So here it is, ChatGPT engine, my message. I'm adding a new message here. What is it? I'm the user, and I'm asking the ChatGPT to remember my name as Michael. So that's good, right? So now let's see whether it understands that, and let's see how it goes. So it will give the process in context, and it will happen. Okay. So let me keep a breakpoint here so that we can understand this much better. So there you go. Um, so it's going to go to the this particular method given context. The AI answer is nothing, so empty string, and the user question is, you are an AI chatbot and you're going to answer my question. That's fine. But in my messages, you can see there is a count. Uh, I already have a message. I have the role user, and I have asked to remember my name as Michael. Okay, so that's fine. And once again, in this particular method, I'm adding two to the list, right? One is the system, that's the A answer, and next the question. Okay, so let's dive into that. So I'm adding two to the list. So the now, if you see the list, you can see the count is three. So one is user, the other one is system, which is nothing because we didn't have anything there. And once again, the user is saying you have to answer my question. That's fine. So these are the defaults, and you get the response choices. So you got the choices. So in choices, you can see, let me show that in reason visualizer. So now you can see role as assistant. You got the reply. In that reply, you can see the role as assistant, and the assistant is saying the content. Of course, how can I assist you today? Okay. So now I have to get the content. So as you could see here, I'm getting the content here. So in the previous method, I used the text, but as you can see, we are using a different endpoint here. So this is the chat endpoint. So the chat endpoint has chat completions. Okay, so it is giving me entirely a different value. So in order to get particularly what I need, I have to get that particular property. So I'm getting the content. So I'm getting the content and pasting it the result. Okay, so I got it. So now let me continue so that you can see the answer. Okay, so you got the answers. Of course, how can I assist you today? So now um, let me ask, what is my name? Because I already provided that, right? So I am in a, okay, pardon me, I have done, still I have to add one more code, which I didn't add, I'm sorry. Mhm. So I have to add this result inside because I didn't, on the onset method, we have to do this, right? I didn't add that. Go to index.tracer. So if I am going to ask a question, then I have to add this, right? So sorry, just give me a second. That's the onset method. Yeah, here it is. Go to onset method. Result. Sorry, one second. My bad. It should be here inside the get result method. I'm terribly sorry for that. So inside the get result method, I'm going to process the info, right? So yeah, inside the get result method. Okay, fine. So my bad. So now, since I have added since I have asked the prompt to remember my name, it should remember my name. So what is my name? The name is Michael. Okay. Now I'm going to ask, what is the weather in Seattle in May? So now it gives me the Seattle weather in May. Now I'm going to ask, how about August? So now it understands that I'm asking about Seattle. So it gives me Seattle experiences in the August. Okay, cool, fine. So now hopefully you guys understand the difference between chat and chat completions. Okay, so now let's say, for an example, um, this is just a chatbot and it is so common, right? So you can ask any questions. But if you want a custom GPT, what you have to do? So you have to create a chat assistant. So chat assistant is nothing but your private custom GPT. Okay. How we can do that? So let me give you a little context over here. So let's go to the playground and you can see, yeah, okay. So you can see the assistants and everything here. So let me show in the dashboard that will be easy for you. So I already have an assistant here. I have named it as Tamil translator, and I asked it to translate from English to Tamil. That's one way. And then you have storage here. You can store any files. You can have vector stores and everything. Okay. So in order to do, so let's move further and see what we have to do. How to create an assistant in order to do that. Okay. Fine. So So to start with, let me give you a simple example of let me add a folder here called files, and inside that folder, I'm going to add a text file. So I'm going to add a text file here, which is restaurant menu. So this is nothing but I'm just going to give an example. Like here it is. This is a restaurant menu with appetizers, main course, desserts, beverages, and everything, and it also has a price. And I just added a phrase, uh, phrase or prompt. Remember, this is a restaurant menu with prices, and you will answer any questions regarding to this. Okay. So fine. Now this will read this file, and it will have it in this memory, and it will do. Okay, so let's do that. So after adding this, um, I'm just going to copy paste this in the index.tracer file just to add the for the click method, yeah, so that I can add the file content. So what I'm doing here is I'm just getting this particular. So as you could see here, I'm just going to copy paste this. So let me explain what code I have written here. So file content await. I'm just getting this asynchronously. I'm sorry, get string async using the HTTP, and I'm provided the localhost port. So what was the localhost port for my? Let me comment out this. And you can use your localhost port, which we have done, which you have got for this particular Blazor app. Just give me a second. So it's 7139. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to close this. And I'm just going to paste this. Okay, fine. Okay, so let me explain again. So I'm just going to take that particular restaurant menu.txt file, and I'm passing that file content as a string, as a content, as a user content. So as you could see here, it will remember my name as Michael. At the same time, it will remember the exact file content as well. But is this the right way to do? Let's run this. So if you want to, ask questions like what is the cheapest dish in the menu? The cheapest dish is fresh orange juice, which is 3.99. So it understands the context because I have provided the entire document as a content as a user prompt here, which is not the right way to do this. Okay. Of course, let's say if this file is going to be larger than what I have here, it is the right way to give because it is because all this content will be stored as a token, right? The maximum token is 1500. So it is not the right way because the entire content will be added as a prompt. So that is not the right way to go about it. So then what is the right way to do it? So the right way to do is to create a custom assistant. So let's dive into that. Creating a custom chatbot. Okay. So so to understand this, you have to follow the following steps. First, you have to create an assistant, and you have to get the assistant ID. The assistant will, excuse me, the assistant will be generated with a prompt. We can provide any prompt to the assistant. Let's say, for example, here I'm going to say that this assistant is going to be a takeaway manager, and it is going to answer only for the menu available in the file. Okay. If you ask the GPT to tell a joke, it will not tell a joke. It will always talk about the menu. So I'm going to create an assistant with that particular prompt, and I will get an assistant ID. After that, I will create a vector store. What is vector store? Vector store is nothing but storing vector values of this file as a vector value. Okay, so zeros and ones and stuff. Okay, so it will store it in a vector matrix. So once you store that, you will get. So in order to do that, you have to create a vector store and get the vector ID, and then you have to upload the file and get the file ID, and then that file ID should be added to the vector store so that the vector will understand the store it in the vector store. Okay. And then you have to update the assistant with the vector store ID so that the assistant will understand if any question is asked, it should go to this particular storage and get the results. Okay. Next, we have to create a thread. Thread is nothing but if right now we kind of ask so many questions, right? This is simply called a thread. In that thread, what we did here is we stored the entire message and stored it as a prompt. But if we have a thread, all these things will be taken care by the OpenAI itself. So, yeah, assistant can have many threads. Okay, assistant can have many threads. So if you are creating an assistant, and if you can, because if you're creating assistant, many customers will chat with the assistant at the same time, but each thread will be allocated to a separate customer so that it will be easy for you to point out that particular customer, point out the questions which are asked by one particular customer. And then what you have to do is you have to execute a run to um, ask questions to that particular thread and get the answers. Okay. And then once you get the run, you have to add that message. Okay, understood? Fine. So now let us create another class file called assistant file search.cs in the data folder. Okay, so I'm just going to copy paste this. Just declaring the variables which I'm going to use. So I have to copy paste my API key again. Okay. So once again, I've just created a string called assistant ID. I have a thread ID. Um, and I also have the API URL, which is nothing but API OpenAI V1. Okay. So this is the API endpoint that I'm going to call, but the API endpoint will differ based on each request. If I'm going to create an assistant, the API endpoint will vary. If I'm going to create a thread, the API endpoint will vary. If I'm going to create a file, the API endpoint will vary. So I have just created an API URL, and then I will use the URL and change it every time when it is required. Okay. So the next thing is I'm going to create a method. So I'm just passing this toast component. We have already used toast, right? So it is used for getting the notification whenever I have a HTTP client request. Okay. So here you go. I have created the default HTTP client headers. I'm giving the authorization OpenAI key. This time I'm using assistance version 2. Okay. OpenAI beta assistance version 2. Okay. Fine. Now what I have to do is I have to create an assistant. Okay. So to create assistant, Control C. Okay, I'm just creating an assistant. So using the create assistant method. So let me create that. So here it is. Let me just copy paste this. You just have to bear with me on this particular thing because it is going to be a little lengthy, but that is how it is because we have to create an assistant and you have to understand all these things. So I'm just creating an assistant and then I'm showing a toast. Once it is successful, I'm showing a toast, the assistant is created. So it will give me the notification that is assistant is created and I'm getting the assistant ID as well. Okay. But in order for this particular create assistant method has to work, I have to create a class called assistant response. What is this? because we are going to deserialize the values, right? So while deserializing, the response will be different for each request. So this is a class that I'm going to add. So I'm going to add this class here. Sorry. So inside this, okay. So the class ends here. Okay, sorry. Fine. Okay. So now we have this right namespace. Fine. Good, 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 good. Everything is good. So now I have assistant response. So it's the JSON property. It is called ID so that I can get the assistant ID. So now let me explain the assistant here. Once again, we are just providing a prompt. I'm just naming the assistant as restaurant takeaway manager, and I'm giving the instruction. I'm using GPT-4 Turbo here as model. The instruction is very simple. You are an expert in restaurant takeaway and answer anything related to the menu. Also, always keep the conversation about the restaurant menu, even if the user asks any non-related questions. Um, and questions, divert them back to ask menu related questions. Okay, so the prompt is a little bit okay, fine. So here you go. And then what I'm adding here is I'm adding the tools here. And that tools I'm saying that it has to do file search. So the file search will be automatically enabled. Okay, so if I run this, I'm not going to run this because I'm going to run the entire thing, but if we run this, you get the idea. So it will create an assistant. So it will have this particular prompt and it will provide the response. And based on the response, I'm getting the assistant response class and I'm deserializing it. And I will get the assistant ID here. Okay, understood? Fine. Any questions? All good? Fine. So now let's dive in. So, okay. So the next thing here is we have to create a vector store. So I'm going to copy paste this. So let me delete this particular line. Let's copy it twice. Okay, fine. So I have now what I've done is I have created a vector store. So to create a vector store, I have to add that particular method. So add that method. Once again, copy paste, make it fast. So I'm adding that method here. In order for that vector store to work, we need a vector store response class. So copy paste that. Once again, all these classes are added here because we are deserializing the response from the request. Okay. So let me add that class here. Okay, vector store response. Once again, there's nothing there. Just I'm getting the ID of the vector store. Okay. So once again, there's nothing much to explain here. You probably understand that because here, once again, I'm using the Syncfusion Blazor. Okay, so I'm creating a vector store. I have to name this as some vector store name should be different, right? Since I created this, I thought I could name it as Syncfusion Blazor, but let me do it as whatever, let's say XYZ restaurant vector store. Okay, so I'm just naming the vector store, and then I'm going to call a different endpoint. So for that endpoint, I'm calling this API URL and I'm calling vector stores. As you could see here, I have a I have just declared the API URL and that URL slash vector stores. Okay, so that is the API endpoint that I'm calling here, and I will deserialize this and I will get the vector store ID. Okay, that's it. Fine. So that's done. Now I have to add the files. Okay. So instead of accessing the www root, I thought I could have the file once again in some folder. So let me create a folder here. Let me create a folder here. So once again, I'm going to add the same restaurant menu, nothing else. Why I'm adding this is simple because the thing is we can't access the www root. So I thought for simple purposes, I thought I could add a different folder here. I could have done that before itself, but everything is fine, right? Okay, so now what I have to do is I have to upload that file. So in order to do that, I have to copy paste this upload file. So I'm just uploading the file. So I have to create the upload file method, copy paste this. So in order for that to work, I have a file response class. So copy paste that. The thing is, Microsoft doesn't have um, a proper, as of now, Microsoft has semantic kernel and then they have Azure APIs. So semantic kernel has less features and Azure API is costly. So that is why we have created everything from the scratch, and that's why we have to create everything on our own. So that's why I have created these class like file response and everything. Okay, if you want to use a pre-built DLL for OpenAI, that is also available. That is a semantic kernel that is available with Microsoft. You can use that as well. But where's the fun in that? We can do this on our own, right? So I'm creating all these things on our own here. So I have uploaded the file. I have added the file response. So now um, nothing much to explain here. You can easily understand. I'm just getting the file, upload file, and then I'm just calling the API URL files here, and then I'm getting the response and getting the file ID. Okay, fine. So the next thing is I have to create a vector store. So vector store, as I said, it is the vector database. So in order to do that, go here, add the vector store. So I'm going to add the file to the vector store. We have already created the vector store. And the next is we are going to add the file to vector store. So in order to do that, I have to get the file ID, which I have already got. So I'm just add. So as you could see here, API URL, vector stores, vector store ID. We already have the vector store ID. And then we also have the file ID. Okay. So that is passed here. So I have set the file ID as well. So we have the vector ID, vector store ID, and then file ID. Okay. So all these things are passed here. So this file will be added to the vector store in vector format. Okay, fine. Now, after that, I have to tell that assistant should always search this particular vector store. How to do that? We have to update the assistant with the vector store. So in order to do that, I'm going to update the assistant with the vector store. So I'm going to create a method update assistant. So, so you have here, um, I already have the assistant response here. So that is very simple. So I'm giving the file search here. So I'm updating the assistant. So I'm going to call the same URL, API URL, assistants and assistant ID. I'm passing the assistant ID in the URL. And then I'm just telling it has a file search, and that file search vector store ID is equal to our ID. Okay. And then once again, I'm just basicalizing it. That's it. And then after updating the assistant with the vector store, now we have to create a thread to ask a question. So if you are asking a question to the if we are asking a question to the assistant, it will automatically create a thread. As I said, if you are creating an assistant and that assistant is open to all your customers, each customer will interact with ChatGPT at the simultaneously, right? So your assistant will have different threads created simultaneously. Okay. So first, let us create a simple thread here. So create a thread. So let me copy paste the create thread method. It's again, it's very simple once you start to understand all these things. So in this create thread, I'm just asking it to store the vector ID. So whenever I create a thread, I'm just telling that you have to search with this particular vector ID. And then you have also have thread response. The thread will return some values. So once again, it is nothing but the ID. So I'm just going to get the ID. So let me add the class below thread response. And then Now we have to run. We have to run and execute the thread. So to run the thread, I have to create run. So let me first add this here in this method. So let's create a run. So then I have to add create run method. So create run will be little complex. Let me explain that. So as you could see, once again, you have a different URL for this. You have the threads, thread ID, and the run. So one particular run will execute one particular ID or one particular thread ID. Okay. So in multiple threads, you should point out which question is belongs to which thread. Okay. So once you've done that, it will give you the run response, and it will take a lot of time to produce the response because you have already seen whenever you ask ChatGPT, it will not give you the entire answer. It will be streaming the answer, right? But here, I'm not going to use the streaming services. I'm going to wait for the entire status to be completed and then get the entire response. So that is why I'm using while here, so that once the entire streaming is done, I will get the entire value. Or else, if we want to show, that can also be done, but here for simple purposes, I don't want to complicate that, so I just thought we could have that. So I'm going to have the run response class here. In the run response class, there are so many things I have added. Let me explain. That's because there are so many things available out there, and that response. So the run will return these values. So the run response has ID, status, okay, and it also have messages. So in order to get messages, I have added this message with content. So for content is a list format. So it has type, text, and annotation. So whenever it gives content, sometimes it also gives annotations as well. So for annotations, it's nothing but file citation. In this particular file, in this particular line, I have taken this value. So it will give file citations, and then file citation has file ID and everything. Okay, so that is one thing, and then I have to retrieve the message from the thread. Okay, so I'm going to have get message. So I'm just going to add this method here, get message. Once again, it's very simple. I'm going to ask get message. I'm going to create a thread message response. Just bear with me. Because these are the basics, that's why I'm taking much time to explain this. But once we get into the other things, it will be easy for you to understand and we can move forward. So once again, it is very simple. We have every time when we run the thread, we will get lot of properties like message, first ID, last ID, because we have so many answers will be coming from a single thread, right? So first ID, last ID, all these things will be added in a list, and then we can get from there. Okay, so in that message data, we have the ID, object, created time. You will get the created time, you will get the ID, thread ID, run ID, you will get the role, content, everything. So I have created class for everything. Okay, so you just go through that, it will be easy for you. Okay, fine. So once all this is done, we have to ask a question. So let's ask a question. So I'm just creating a ask question. So I'm just going to ask question to assistant, so that this method will be called in the index.racer file. Okay, fine. So once all this thing is done, let's go to the index.racer file and add this. So I'm going to create a new file, search index.racer. Yeah. So I already have the ChatGPT engine I have created here. So I'm going to add this here. So um, I created a variable for this class, and then I'm going to add this inside the event click. So in the index.racer file, I'm going to add this. So the event click method. So removing the previous thing. So let me go to the event click method. Here it is. Here we have added this file content and everything, right? I'm just going to delete this. And I'm going to add this particular line of code. It is very simple. I'm just calling the assistant file search dot search. So when this method is called, what will happen? It will call the search method. Okay. The search method is nothing but creating an assistant, creating a vector store, upload the file, add the file to the vector store, update the assistant with the vector store, create a thread, and run the thread. Okay, it's that simple. And then we will ask any questions based on that. So we use get message to do that. Now let us add this get result inside the get message. Sorry, in the index.tracer file, you have to go to the get result, and let me replace this code with this one. Okay, so it's nothing. I'm just once again asking questions to the assistant and getting the message, and then I'm showing the output. Okay, I think that's it. So now we have this, right? So now let me show you, before running this, let me show you. Um, so sorry, here you go. We don't have any other assistants other than this particular assistant, right? We have multiple threads because I have worked with this a lot of time, so I have multiple threads. But I have also created an assistant, but I have deleted those assistants here. And in storage, you can see there are no files, there are no vector stores. Okay, so now let's run this and see how it goes. So I'm clicking this. So here is this assistant created, vector store created, file uploaded, file added to vector store, linking the vector store. We have created the thread, waiting for the response. Now the answer is streaming here. Now the run is created. I got the message. The message will be displayed. Here you go. You got the message here. So hello, if you need any information related to restaurant menu, you can answer that. So let me say I have only $10 with me. Give me two dishes from your menu under that. So it will automatically suggest me two values from the file. So it is streaming right now. So that's why it is waiting, and you got it. So I don't have access to specific restaurant menu, but if you in the mind, you have $10. Alternatively, typically found under 10 things, this salads, small pasta dish, general. So these are the things that are available there. Okay, so let me show you what are the things that it created here. So let me go here. You have the assistant. Here you go. You have the restaurant takeaway manager. This was the name we have provided, right? Restaurant takeaway manager. And this restaurant takeaway manager has file search. Okay, and it has this, and you can see vector storage. Let me go to the vector storage. You have the restaurant menu here, and you have the vector stores. And inside the vector store, let me refresh. Sometimes it will take a bit second to show vector stores. Here you go. You have the XYZ restaurant vector store, and that vector store has the thread restaurant takeaway, and it also has the restaurant menu text file. Understood? So, based on these APIs, we have created an assistant, and that assistant right now doesn't have any other thing. As you could see here, it just have only one thing, which is XY vector store, and based on that, it answers your questions. Okay, and it has the assistant ID and everything. All these things are available here. Okay, so it's that simple. And if I ask to, let's say, tell me a joke. So whenever you are creating your own chat GPT, you have to restrict it, right? So let's keep the things. so what are your dietary preferences you have? So once again, it will get back to whatever things that we said because we created specific GPT with that particular prompt. Okay. So that's it. It's that simple. So we have created a uh, Blazor, a fully functional AP, fully functional chat GPT assistant to your own needs with a file search, adding a vector store, and you can ask any questions from that, right? So it's that simple. Now let us get into the MyUI so that we can create this particular app into MAUI, and that it will be created in Android and iOS and Windows. Okay. Any questions? Everything is clear, right? Anyone have any questions? Can we move on? Okay, thank you. So now let's dive into it. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. So now let's dive into this creating a hybrid app. Okay. So in order to do that, just follow the simple steps created given here. So let me close this. I don't need this anymore. This is a chance because if I'm going to follow the instructions, it will be easy for me. So I'm just closing this. And once again, I'm creating a Visual Studio. I'm just opening the Visual Studio. So what is the name that I have to? Okay, I have to search for Blazor hybrid app. Sorry, create new project. I have to search for Blazor hybrid app. As you can see, dotted Maui Blazor hybrid app. I'm clicking on this, and then I'm clicking next. So I'm going to name this exactly here because for the same purpose. So I'm going to use chatbot. If you also do that, it will be easy for you to copy paste the code. Okay. Once again, I'm going to create this in my D drive. My C drive is full. Shop. Yeah, sorry for the. Okay, so that's it. So I'm using .NET 8. That is fine. So a new project is created. Um, I think now I don't have to explain all these things. So I'm just going to copy paste as quick as possible, and let's complete this as early as possible. Okay. So now let's dive in. So once this project is created, once again you have to add these NuGet packages. So go to these add NuGet packages. So let me just bear with me for a second. I know this is takes some time, but I will try to complete as early as possible. I really appreciate all your time being here. So I have added the buttons and as well as split button inputs. List. Once again, notifications. Spinner. Themes. I've already added the split buttons. Themes. Finally, yes. done everything. Okay, it's taking much time. Yeah, done. Fine. So let me run this so that let me check whether everything is here. So once it is done, you have to add the script file. So to add the script file, you have to go to www root folder and and go to the index file. So let me go www root index.html, and I'm going to add the script file inside the header. Okay, inside the head tag. Okay, fine. So it is still running. So it's installing the Windows. So there you go. So this is a new app. So that's fine, fine. Okay, so now let's get into this. We have to create a data folder to add our file. So let me go to components, create a data folder. I'm just going to have the assistant file search created here. That's it. That's nothing much here. So I'm going to create the class, same class here. So add new class. So I'm just going to copy paste this. The same file I could copy paste here, but just for some purpose, I'm just going to so just copy paste the entire class here, replacing the class here. So all those property which I explained. So it will be a lot of code. So just move past this, and then you have to go to the main layout.razor inside the components layout. So components layout, main layout.razor. Just uh, replace this particular code with the already available div element here. So let me replace this div element with this so that you will get only the main body, and then go to imports.razor under the components. So go to imports.razor under the components and add that, and then go to raw. This is because um, we are going to have files. We are going to upload the file, right? So those files will be in my UI stored in the resources. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add that particular file. Add that particular file. Let me go to chatbot, server, data files, all files, and I'm going to use restaurant admin. Okay, so I just add because everything will be rendered as a bundle. So it will take the resources from raw. So I have the file menu here. It will be easy for me to do the file sort using that. I mean, the file stream using that. Okay. So now go to home.razor file. So once again, I'm going to change the home.razor file will be available. Sorry, let me close this. Then this layout pages and home.razor. Here it is. So let me, so after adding the home.razor file, once again, the same UI that we added before. So once we have added that, so once again, add those files in www root folder. So let me add the Let me add the files here. Send mic and Kuri. Okay, so add these images. Done. So once you have added that, you can go to MauiUI.program.cs file. So that's here. So inside this, I have to add Syncfusion Blazor first. So I'm going to add that. And then I'm going to add Syncfusion, this particular code. Here, I'm going to take this out and replace this with this one. Okay, fine. So now I have to have Syncfusion license key, which I have with me here. So let me add my license key here. Done. So all these things are done. Oh, now let us run and see what is the output. Fine. So let's run. So the entire web application which we created will be rendered as a web view in the Windows forms. So inside the Windows form, the entire web application is rendered inside a web view. So the output which we got in the Blazor server app will be exactly the same because I just copy paste exactly the same code here, so that you can see the exact thing here. I'm not changing anything here. So if you know how to develop a Blazor application, it is easy for you to create the. So there you go. You got the. Okay. One little problem. What is it? I didn't add the OpenAI key. I'm sorry. Just give me a second. Assistant file search. So where's OpenAI key? Here it is. My bad. Sorry. Once again. Control V. Yes. Done. Okay. Now let's run this once again. Sorry for the inconvenience. Just give it some time. So as I was saying, the entire web application will be rendered as a web UI, right? So there are certain limitations. When you create it in an Android, then your web application should be mobile friendly, so that your UI will automatically shrink to Android size, right? So once again, you get the assistant created, file uploaded, file link vector, everything is here. So you have the exact thing which we had in our Blazor server app. Okay. So as I was saying, if you are going to run this in Android, it should be mobile friendly. So whenever you are creating your application, that is a Blazor web application, you have to keep it in mind that it should be mobile friendly so that it will be easily ported to Android, iOS, and everything. Okay, so exactly, you got the same thing. So now let us run this in Android and see how it goes. So the beauty is Syncfusion. The beauty is Syncfusion kind of have these themes and these um, components which automatically are mobile friendly, so that whenever you create something for the desktop, it will automatically work in the mobile as well. So you need not worry about the touch experience, you need not worry about the touch event, or let's say because whenever you are creating something for the desktop, it will always be on click event, something like that, right? So the same event should also work for Android as well, because in Android it is going to be touch, right? So let me run this. Syncfusion components take care of all these things for you, so you need not worry about it. As you could remember, in my code, I have used only the event click method, so that click method is also going to work for the touch. So you need not worry about having different set of functionalities, or if you have to different set of codes for anything. You just have to be mobile friendly. If you are CSS is mobile friendly, then I think the entire code will be rendered. Just give some time. It is building the SDK. and that SDK has to be installed in the emulator. So just give it a couple of minutes, it will be ready. And the thing is, whenever you create something like this, these things should be catered to the specific device. So let's say, for example, in Android, whenever you type on particular text box, there is a chance that text box will be masked by the keyboard. There's a great chance that can happen. Okay, so it is still building, just give some time. So in order to do that, I have already given some ideas here. That is, you have to write specific to Android. So whenever you are creating a Maui application, you should consider different scenarios. You should consider different devices and stuff. So in case if you forget that, then it will be a bit of a problem. But if you understand all these things, a Maui is the greatest thing that can happen because it can automatically generate each of your web application into Android, iOS, Windows, and everything, right? Just give it a second. It's taking time. Yes, finally, it's going to deploy. So you guys understood, right? Um, Hopefully you understand all these things. If you have any trouble, you can just ask any questions here so that I can answer. So far, good, right? Thank you, guys. Just give me a second. Damn, it was taking time, much time than expected. I'm not sure why, but it is deploying. Just give it a couple of minutes. Okay, finally, build is succeeded, deployed. Finally, we got it. So while running this, if your Android is not getting any internet connection, this application will not run because we are requesting the API URL and everything, right? So please make sure your Android has this Wi-Fi connection so that you can get the see. It is exactly the same template. I'm clicking on this, so I'm getting the notification. So everything is mobile friendly here, as you could see here. Now, if I click here, this is the concern that I was talking about. So if I click here, let me click here. So if I click here, the text box is getting masked by the keyboard. So I cannot type and see what I'm typing here, right? So to avoid this, what we have to do is, let me go to the document. So you have to add this particular line. This is a specific to Android into the app.xaml.cs file. So go to app.xaml.cs file and add this code after the main page initialization. So, and you can inherit this instead of application, you can use um, Microsoft controls.myui.application. So now if I run this time to really deploy, sorry, my bad. Sorry, my bad. Okay. So now when I run this, it will automatically adjust the UI based on the keyboard. Okay, so you have to make small changes specific to each platform. Okay, okay, the Android emulator is restarted. Sorry, guys. These things will happen only in the live. Okay, just give it a second. Now let me run this. Yeah, it should just deploy in few seconds. Yeah, got it. So I think my Android memory is full. That is why it is not loading. But you understand the context. Got it. Got it. Got it. Come quick. Uh, yeah. Okay. So now you can see when I click it once again, the um, thread will be created, assistant created, everything will be here. So the main thing here is when I click on the text box here, what will happen is that you can see the entire UI is shifted for the keyboard. So this is how you have to make necessary changes based on the platform that you are deploying. Since I'm using a Windows machine, I don't have a Mac or iOS connected with me, so I can't show the output in that. But you get the idea. So it is the same for everything. Okay. So that's it from my end, guys, for today. So if you have any questions or if you have anything, just let me know so that I can answer any questions that you have.